Welcome to the CL Brown Show. I am your host, CL Brown, columnist with the Louisville Courier-Journal. On this episode of the show, I welcome University of Louisville women's basketball player Laura Ziegler. Now, her name, when you look at it, it looks like it's Ziegler. That's how we would pronounce it here, but she is actually from Denmark, and I'm trying to pronounce it the way that it's supposed to be pronounced. And I still might have messed up a little bit, but I've gone over with her a couple of times, and I think I got it right. Laura Ziegler, she's a transfer from St. Joe's and expected to make a big impact with the Cardinals this year. We will also have Wake Forest head men's basketball coach Steve Forbes, one of the best and biggest personalities in the ACC. Reminds me of the old days in the league. And we will conclude with University of Louisville guard Ryan Conwell. This was before the exhibition game against Kansas and Bucknell, where he's shown to have that he's going to have a big role in this year's team and make a big contributions. But before we get into all of those interviews, we're going to take a little sidetrack to CL Sounds Off. Well, I think we are coming to the end of Mark Stoops' tenure at the University of Kentucky as head football coach. Nothing, of course, has been said publicly. Mitch Barnhart, the AD at UK, has not come out and tipped his hand one way or the other, but I'm looking at the roadway here and I just don't see the path. I don't see I don't see a pathway for him to say, and I don't see how UK can afford to keep him around. These are kind of two separate things. One, I do think Mitch Barnhart is trying to give him every benefit of the doubt and every opportunity to still UK can still conceivably win 6 games to be eligible for a bowl. That's not out of the question right now. And yes, they're on a losing streak and everything like that. But we have seen progress from Cutter Boley at quarterback. We have seen their defense play lights out, play definitely good enough to win against most SEC teams. So those are kind of those. That's the positive here. That's the positive you're looking at. It's going to be a tough road. They're going to have to win at Auburn for this to be possible, but it's still a possibility. And I think Mitch Barnhart is respecting that and kind of trying to let this play out. But here's why I think they need to make a change this season. Not that if they don't make it this season, they're never going to be able to find a good coach. That's not the case. There are plenty of great coaches out there that are waiting for opportunities like UK would present. But there are two special coaches right now that I think would be great fits at UK, and they understand the culture because they're from here. They understand what it means, what it takes, and I think both of them would do a good job, either one of them. The first one, I've been touting his name since the summertime here, is Tulane's head coach, John Sumrall. Had him on the podcast back in August, and Tulane is having another great year, especially considering that it's Tulane. They've never been a football power. They've never really strung together the success that they're having right now. Willie Fritz started as head coach. He went on to Houston, and now John Sumrall has taken the baton and extended it, and he's also been successful with the Green Wave. He's a former UK player, former linebacker. He's got his start as a graduate assistant on coaching staff there, back with Rich Brooks, and he would be dynamic in my opinion. That's if I were to AD at UK, that would be my number one pick. And he's not going to be around. I don't think he's going to be around at Tulane after this season because of all of the jobs that are open. In particular, I think Tulane might lose him to LSU, which is, relatively speaking, right around the corner in Baton Rouge, and it would be a same fit culturally speaking for him to kind of just slide chairs and move over there. So I think that's a competitor that UK doesn't want to lose him to. Secondly, the name Will Stein should ring a bell. Will is the offensive coordinator at Oregon right now. His offenses there have been off the charts, even going back when he was at Texas San Antonio as offensive coordinator. He's done great work. He went to the U of L, played quarterback. He was there under Charlie Strong. I believe his first year was under Steve Cragthorpe, if I'm not mistaken. But he gets it. And Will's dad played at UK. So it's not like he didn't grow up as a UK fan and rooting for them. So he loves the state, understands what it would take to build a team here and compete here. So I think those are the top two names, and I don't think either one of them are really going to be around for too much longer if UK doesn't make this change now. And I think both of them would do great jobs. And that's obviously not to say that Mark Stoops hasn't done a good job because he's the winningest coach in UK football history. But I do think there comes a time where things have kind of plateaued for him there. And I think it's just time for both parties. It would be better if they moved on. So that will do it for Sound Off. Let's jump into these interviews. And now I'd like to welcome to the show Laura Ziegler, transfer from St. Joe's, who is joining University of Louisville women's team. Thank you for joining me, Laura.
Thank you for having me.
I want to go back. You are from Denmark.
Yes.
And I have no idea, how big is basketball nationally in Denmark?
Not very big. Denmark is a typical European country, so soccer is the #1 sport, and then we play a lot of handball. Basketball is a small sport in Denmark.
So how did you get, I want to go through the story of how you got into playing.
See, both my parents used to play, so for the longest time I didn't want to play because I didn't want to do just the same as they did. So I tried every sport in the book, like we're talking swimming, horseback riding, I did taekwondo, like I was all over the place. And then when I turned 10, I still haven't found a sport I really liked, so my dad signed me up for basketball and I just loved it from the first practice.
The rest is history. So the taekwondo, how far did you advance?
Oh, don't even. Like 1 week and I was done. I was not good at taekwondo. I'm telling you.
Okay, well, you advanced pretty fast in basketball to start it kind of late.
Yeah.
I mean, when you compare it to somebody in the States starting playing basketball.
Yeah.
But by 18, you were on the national team, right? Or is that too late?
No, I played with the youth national team since I was 13, and then with the senior national team, I made my debut as an 18-year-old.
Okay, wow. Yeah. What was that experience like playing with, basically grown women?
Yeah, I think it's amazing because you're playing with and against pro players. You get playing against players who are now in the WNBA or used to be in the WNBA. I'm playing against, all Americans who play college basketball and coming back home and playing. You just learn so much. So you really, when you're that young, you're not really going to play that much. So you really just go to that, try to soak everything in and get as good as you can get.
Yeah. At what point did you was the seed planted that you wanted to come to the States to play in college?
I was probably around 14, maybe 15. No, young 14. And to me, it was seeing some of the Danish players going abroad and then coming back home and telling about it. Like, I remember a girl who went to Villanova and she came back. She was in Miami at that point. I just played in the ACC for the first 3 years. But she was telling about, their game plan, like the facilities, like how much they play basketball. And I was just like, I can go do that because, again, it's so much bigger than Denmark. So I think that's really when the seed got planted for me.
Yeah. So what brought you to Louisville specifically when you entered the transfer portal? What were you looking for in the program and how did you land here?
Yeah, I really wanted to try myself out at a higher level when I went into the transfer portal. And non-negotiable for me were the people, like teammates, coaches. I wanted to be surrounded by good people because to me that make or break the experience. And I really wanted to get challenged. Like, I wanted to get pushed. I wanted to go win and I want to be in the NCAA tournament and do as well as we can do, go as far as we can. And I knew going to Louisville, I was going to get that with Walls. I was going to get the rest of the coaching staff that's just so experienced. I think they just have such a winning history here that, to me, that was something I really want to be a part of.
Did you know much about the program when you were in Denmark, as a kid growing up? Did you know anything about it?
Not in Denmark. I probably watched them play in the NCAA tournament because they do it every year. But I think I didn't know a lot, but when I was younger, to me, it was just I loved watching basketball, and I didn't care as much about like teams or whatever. I just loved watching it.
Okay, so when you go back home and friends and family and that kind of thing, what do you tell them about? Like, if they're like, "How is Lou? Like, what's the experience like?" What do you tell them about?
I say it's amazing. It's hard, and I say I get a challenge, but I'm saying I am in the best shape I've ever been, and I'm playing the best basketball I've ever done. So it's a lot, but I get to go home and tell about it. I have people now. Every time I go home, they're like, "Can I get some Louisville basketball gear? Can I do this and that?" Like, it's great, and I think I just have a very supportive community around me.
Yeah. Do you still play handball at all?
We do a little bit for fun when we go back home during the summer. Like, it's a good like PE sport, and like we'll do it sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you just had another international experience playing in the FIBA 3-on-3 for Denmark.
Yeah.
What is that like breaking down? Like, is that? I know for kids growing up here, 3-on-3, like sometimes you just get who you can get and play. But what is it like for that? To play for Denmark?
It's different. Like, we have a little bit more of a selective process. We practice more together, trying to learn from some of the best countries in the world. Like, we'll go to Serbia and try to learn from some of them. They're some of the leading 3-on-3 players. But it's such a great experience. Like, I think the game of 3-on-3 is so much fun because you really, like, you can't go hide in the corner and watch the rest of them like you can in 5-on-5. Like, you are in every single play, so you really learn to be on all the time, but also do all the small things. Like, if you set a really good screen in 3-on-3, like, you're either gonna get your teammate open or you're gonna be open because there's no help. Like, there's nobody to go help you and save you. So you really learn to focus on all the small details.
Yeah. So what has it been like being the transfer coming to a team with 8 returning stars and that whole process of fitting in and learning everybody?
I think the team has made it really easy. We have a team that just really want to win, and they want to do whatever it takes. So they have welcomed me with open arms and helped me both on and off the court. And I think coming in, like, I'm still learning about Louisville basketball. Like, I'm learning about Walls and whatever he wants, but I have a lot of experience in college basketball, so I think I'm trying to bring some of that leadership in that way. And then they may be helping me with how we do stuff on a game day. Like, I don't necessarily know what a game day looks like for Louisville, but I know what it is to play when we get to the game.
Yeah. Is there a game in particular, like, this non-conference schedule is very challenging this year. Is there a game in particular you're looking forward to in the non-conference slate?
I think there's a lot of them. I think our first one in Germany against UConn is just a big one. My parents are coming because we're in Europe, so it's special to me that they get to watch my first game in the Louisville jersey. And obviously it's going to be a high-level game, but just said, like, our non-conference is really hard. Like, the Kentucky game is really fun to watch every year. I can't wait to be a part of that, and having the home court advantage is going to be really fun playing at the Yum Center.
What was probably your biggest rival at St. Joe's?
We always had the Big Five, like, for the Philadelphia with Villanova.
Okay.
And then, like, in conference, like, we play LaSalle every year. It's another Philly school. We had a lot. Philly is a fun city to be in because there's so much between all the schools.
Yeah. Did you get used to Philly is also known for tough fans, especially in their pro sports arena, but did you experience any of that?
I love it. We won the Super Bowl last year, go first. I absolutely. It's, we always say, they love to hate us, but it's fun, and you really get to experience that. Like, it's all over when the Phillies play, when the Birds, like, it's a fun city to be in when you're a part of it.
I gotta ask this, and I will wrap this up soon. Did you know anything about horse racing before you got to Louisville, and are you up to speed now?
I did not know it. I knew nothing. I'm a little bit more up to speed. I got some teammates from Louisville, from Kentucky, and they're helping out a little bit because it was not something that I knew about. But it's fun. You're getting to learn. They really care about it there. Louisville, they care about their horse riding. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Well, good luck to you this season. Thank you for joining the show.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Now I'd like to welcome to the show head coach of Wake Forest, Steve Forbes. Steve, thank you for joining me.
It's always a pleasure to see you.
You ain't got to lie to the people.
Oh, I ain't lying.
So that's what I was going to start with. I feel like this is the ultimate compliment I could give you. You would have fit in as a character in the league back in the day. Like the Lefty Drizelles of the world. Like, it would have been fun watching you.
Well, everybody kind of needs a guy. Everybody needs that, right?
Yeah.
Look, I just try to have fun. And I always say, look, when I'm not having fun anymore, I'm not going to do it. I turned 60 in March. It's my 37th year. I still have fun doing it. But I do like camaraderie among coaches. And I think we're seeing that maybe come back a little bit with coaching, I hope. But I can't imagine those meetings with Lefty and Dean and Kay and Coach Barnes. I bet they were Coach Valvano. I'm sure it was game on.
Indeed. Well, let's talk about game on at Wake Forest this year. You guys haven't made the tournament. This is the obviously the mandate for this season. Do you feel like you have on roster right now, you got a team good enough to get back?
I mean, I think it's the mandate every season at this level, realistically, right? And so I don't think that's any different than any other year. I got a different team than maybe what I've had maybe since I've been at Wake as far as just depth. Depth's always kind of been an issue for us, and I do believe we've had some – look, I take full responsibility for – we've had some really hard losses late in the year, the last 3 or 4 years that kind of kicked us off the bubble where we were at, and some of it probably was depth. We just tired. This team – I see 10 or 11 guys that can play a lot of minutes. Okay, now will it end up being that way? I don't know. But early, I don't see a lot of separation, and sometimes that's a bad thing, right? You're like, oh my God, I need some separation from these guys. But they're all really talented in their own way. They're fast, they're athletic. We're going to play up tempo. And we tried to play that way last year, but then we just couldn't make shots. This team has shown to make shots and share the ball better. And so, I think we have the makings of that. Now, look, when the lights come on is when you got to go do it. And I do think the league's probably deeper this year than what it's probably been since I come in the league, 5-6 years ago. Got some teams that are on the upper end of the league that are really good. And then we got probably some teams we don't really know much about yet. And so, we'll see. We're probably one of those kind of teams.
Yeah. When the league went from 20 conference games back down to 18, what did you do with those 2 games non-conference? How did you?
Well, I lost a home game to Duke because that was a team that we played. So I kind of looked at it like I needed to go get a couple, pretty challenging games. So I got Vanderbilt in a home and home, and I got West Virginia in a neutral. So we go to West Virginia to Charleston this year, and then they'll come back the following year. And then I have Vanderbilt in a home and home, so I got them at home this year. So I chose to go, with the high major to try to continue to upgrade the schedule because we play Michigan, we play Texas Tech, we play the winner loser of Purdue and Memphis and Bahamas. I already had Oklahoma on the schedule, and so then you add a Vanderbilt, you add a West Virginia. That's a pretty challenging.
That's kind of a schedule you make when you feel like you got the horses to ride.
I agree,
right?
but you don't want to get to Selection Sunday either. And I did this before, right? My second year, I say my first year really. We went 13-7 in the league, which we've done twice and not got in, and we won 10-1 in the non-league. But I didn't know what I had because we were coming out of COVID, right? Well, I got kicked out of the tournament. We didn't get in the tournament because we didn't have a strong enough non-conference schedule. So I just, maybe I did. But I didn't want to get to that point in February and March saying, well, they didn't play a tough enough non-league schedule. Because not knowing what the league's going to bring us. Let's be honest, over the last 4 years, the league hasn't really helped me. I mean, we've gone 13-7 twice, 10-10, 11-9, and I got in, okay? And a lot of that's because of some of the losses that we took in the league. And so I think the league's better. So I think everybody will have a better, metrics. Yeah. But going into it, you don't know. And so I scheduled tough.
Did you vacation in Seattle or Vancouver or something? You end up getting 2 transfers from the Pacific Northwest.
Well, my first Division I job was in Idaho. Come on. Everybody, all the Washington State fans are mad because well, you took Coach Dickert in football, and now you got Nick Cummings. It had nothing to do with it. It just kind of happened. It wasn't. It's kind of like with I I didn't recruit Hunter and Efton together. I recruited Hunter first, and then Efton kind of came later. You know what I mean? It wasn't. I don't know. Yeah, no. It just, and they're both from Phoenix.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I didn't either at the time, but Makai and Nate, they're good players, and one played at Washington, one played at Washington State, and we ended up getting them both. And it's a little bit more of a frequent flyer miles to go that far to get them, but I'm happy to get them. You know, Makai's interesting. He's got a +7 wingspan. You know, and so I got a lot of guys like that this year that are +6, 5, 7, 8. I think Trey's like 8. And so, Makai brings experience and size to the backcourt. Good defender, can last, I think, 10 games, 15 games. He averaged double figures in the Big Ten. You know, Nate averaged 15 a game in Washington State, point guard. Kind of like some of the guys I've had. A Boopy, Miller, a Ty Appleby, smaller but fast. Then Miles Coleman. Miles Coleman has led us in scoring the summer and in the fall. And, Miles played in the national championship for Purdue. And so he's got great size. His dad's Roosevelt Colvin, starting linebacker for the Patriots when they won a couple Super Bowls. I don't make him mad. Keep him happy. I like those guys.
Yeah. Trevon Spillers.
Yeah.
Also, how do you see him kind of taking that next step in his?
Yeah. I thought he had a really good year. He's 10, 9 and 8, 9 and 7, 10 and 8. I don't know. I mean, I think he can become close to a double guy in the league. It's hard to do that. He showed some ability to step out and make threes. He didn't make any before we got him. I think he can continue on that path. See, I don't want it to be totally out there all the time, mixing it up. I think he could be one of the better defenders in the ACC because he can block shots and he's fast. He can guard multiple positions. He's just kind of one of those guys that can do a lot of things, and great energy and a great personality. And I'm glad he's back due to Diego Pavia. Because if it wasn't for him, Trey would be done.
Yeah. Wow. Well, what is it like being at Wake Forest right now? I feel like there's a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
With the are they calling it Deacon Town what they're building?
Yeah,
right
the
there in
grounds.
football? The grounds. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. As somebody the landscape better than I do. It's impressive. And it's what? It was needed. It's needed.
Yeah.
And I just think it's something that a lot of places are going to this, right? Like if you have a place to play, they're building entertainment around it for you to be able to come and enjoy before and after a game.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I was in Indy this week. I had oversight committee meetings, and we were talking about some place that didn't do that, and it died off. I can't remember what it was. But like if you look at the Yum Center, there's all kinds of things around for fans, right, and students. Yeah. And that's the thing with the grounds is not only is it going to be just for, restaurants, condos, but there's going to be some student housing too back in there. Yes. And so it's going to be nice. It's going to take a little bit of time, but it's going to be pretty good.
All right. Well, as always, great talking to you, Coach. Good luck this season.
Pleasure, man.
And now joining the show, I have University of Louisville guard Ryan Conwell. Ryan, thank you for joining me.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Wow, man. You grew up basically right up the road in Indianapolis, Pike High School.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to go back to coming out of high school for you. The offers you were getting were like App State, Murray State.
Right.
I think Wichita was in the mix, and you finally committed to South Florida.
Yes, sir.
What was that process like? And how much of I believe I read the word underdog when you were first coming out of high school is a word that people use for you.
For sure. Well, my recruitment just coming out of high school definitely started, a little bit late. I really didn't start getting offers until after like my junior summer, Division I offers at that, and then, so I kind of made my decision late too. Starting my senior year of high school, but just through the whole process, I really kind of, just felt like I was just underrated, just overlooked at times, and felt like I should have had, some bigger offers. But, I'm very just thankful for my journey. I think it's just a huge reason to why I am the person I am today. And, why I'm so grateful for opportunities like this now, being able to play for Louisville. So it's definitely just a hard journey at times, but I'm just grateful for it all.
Yeah, yeah. I actually got to see you play in person. The only time was in the tournament.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because Kentucky was there.
Oh,
Now
yeah,
Kentucky's
yeah.
a bad word for you, but one of the things that struck me was just kind of the energy and drive that you have. How was your development as a basketball player? Like, where would you say you kind of get that from?
I would say just having to go to the gym every single day, and maybe not seeing things work out like how I thought they should. But still sticking with it. Just having just a great support system. My mom, my dad, my brother, always just thinking about my side, just never allowing me to give up or give in, even when times got tough. So, and I think that's just where my dog mentality comes from. Just all the ups and downs that I've been through. I feel like I built, that strength, that mental, stability, just to where, when hard things come, I just, try to embrace it now. And also, I would just say, just from my faith, just from God, and just Him being just my stronghold, and me just leaning on Him, for His strength.
Now, I don't remember the order now of in terms of the transfer commits that came in. Did Isaac commit before you did, or were you?
Nah, he committed after me.
After
you.
So
it was AD.
Adrian was first?
Then it was me, then it was Isaac.
Okay. Well, I wanted to get at just, could you feel the momentum building, knowing that Mikal Brown was already coming, knowing you're going to be playing with that point guard, and then seeing some of the roster from last year that was like announcing they were returning? Could you kind of see the momentum building for this team, for this roster?
Yeah, for sure, a little bit. Just understanding who you're about to play with, just in the transfer portal is big. And just me knowing that I was going to be able to play with a great group of guys, very skillful, and just a great coaching staff with a great system was something that, that influenced a lot my decision to come a little bit. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, how much did you know about Coach Kelsey before this recruitment process?
Not much, not much. But just talking to him just the first couple of times, I just knew he was just a great guy, very high energy, and someone just I would want to play for. So,
what did he tell you about what your role? How he kind of envisioned your role on this team?
Yeah, definitely just being a leader. Just being my 4th year in college, having that experience. And just really, being able just to, facilitate, score, just really just play my game, but just elevate my game to another level. Just being there for my teammates. Also just being the best two-way player that I could possibly, be. Just a great player, a dog on the defensive end as well, and just rebounding, just doing everything, that I need to do for the team.
So on paper, we look at this team and this roster, and there's a lot of depth to it. We can see who might be the shooters, who might be the rebounders, and everything.
Right.
What are the practices like? Because I also feel like he can go with kind of different styles.
Yeah,
he can go with a bigger lineup. He can go with 4 guard. Like, what are the practices?
Man, the practices are fun though. Just like you said, just having just such a deep team. You can just have very high competitive practices. Very high intensity. It's like it's like good versus good. You know what I'm saying? And I think at the end of the day, it just makes us all just better. Being able to practice against each other every single day, and we're just a very versatile team and just have a lot of different weapons. So, I'm just very excited.
What's the process been like? Just kind of getting acclimated to the guys and knowing where somebody likes the ball and
right.
How somebody's gonna come off a pick and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like that stuff definitely just takes time. Just building that chemistry. But that's why we, come to practice every single day, just to kind of learn those different things. And it's been good, just learning, what players like to do, what they don't like to do, just their tendencies, strengths, weaknesses, and us kind of just, just playing off of each other. It's just really good. And, we play in a good system to where, allows for all of our skill sets to shine, at once.
And I feel like most Louisville fans already feel like they know about this whole team, but who would you say is going to be the player that might surprise people the most?
I would say my boy Kanai Roos. I think he's just such a versatile player. He's just a dog, though. Just high energy. He's just a great player, though. he does all the little things. Probably just not all the stuff you're gonna see on the stat sheet every single night, but he's a player that we need to win. You know what I'm saying? So I would say him.
Yeah. Is there anybody who that was returning to the squad? Is there anybody who maybe showed you the ropes, when you first got there, so to speak? Or as a veteran coming in, did you feel like you kind of, could fit in anyway?
A little bit of both. Just already knowing what college is about. Obviously this is just different, to a little higher magnitude, just being here at Louisville and the history and stuff like that. But, just being able to interact with, like you said, some of the players that were here last year, just kind of learning, the scheme and different tendencies and, just even learning, new stuff off the court as well has been good.
Yeah, now you're obviously wearing jersey number 3.
Yeah.
Peyton Siva, who is now on staff, also wore number 3. Has he given you any kind of, all right, you better represent this number?
Not like no added pressure, but we joke about it sometimes, just him just being number 3 and just having such a great career, at Louisville, and, me just being able to, just wear number 3 now. I just hope, could just play to that standard, even raise the bar a little bit higher and, just represent, the number and myself.
Well, I will let you go on this. Obviously, being from Indianapolis, you've known about Louisville basketball. What were your impressions, kind of just growing up, of the program itself? And what does it mean now to put on that jersey and play at U of L?
Yeah, just growing up, Louisville is always one of those schools that everybody dreamed of going to. Just the history, just seeing them win, seeing them have that success was something that I dreamed about since I was younger. And then now just being able to have the logo across my chest, my last name on the back it's just a blessing. Something I'm just very thankful for. It's an opportunity I don't want to take for granted, just knowing that, like me, when I was younger, a lot of people dream of being in this position, and just God blessed me with this position. I know that, also comes the expectation, and, I have to, be ready to work and, just, be myself.
Hey, well, good luck on this season, and thank you for joining me. Yes, Ryan Conwell, ladies and gentlemen, University of Louisville guard.
Now, are you ready for some pickup lines? I went 4-1 last week. Been 4-1 the last 2 weeks. Gonna try and keep that momentum going leading into this week's games. Let's start with Louisville on the road at Virginia Tech. They are a 10.5-point favorites. The Cardinals are 10.5-point favorites on the road. Again, it's been tough sledding as far as the spreads go this year for U of L. I expect Virginia Tech, despite having an interim coach right now, to play tough in Lane Stadium. It's always a great atmosphere in there. But I do think that Louisville kind of worked out their jitters last week against Boston College after the big win against Miami, and they're going to be running on all cylinders at Virginia Tech. So give me the Cards, lay the 10.5 points. Let's move to Kentucky, which is a 10.5-point underdog on the road at Auburn. Again, Auburn's kind of in a similar situation as Kentucky is right now, with not knowing what the long-term status of their head coach is going to be. I lean towards Hugh Freeze is probably going to be out pretty soon there. I don't think he makes it to the end of the season. So that being said, Auburn is still a tough out. They are still rallying around their head coach. There's no quit so far from this team in the locker room. And Kentucky, we've seen Cutter Boley as a quarterback make some progress, take some steps forward, taking a lot of leadership now. You can see his confidence is building as a young quarterback for the Cats. And this is going to be a tough road trip for him, though, getting away from the comfy confines of Kroger Stadium. So I'm going to go with Auburn to cover that 10.5 against the Cats, and we'll see what happens with Mark Stoops moving forward here. Now let's move on to another SEC battle of ranked teams. Oklahoma is a 3-point underdog at Tennessee. We saw last week. This is a kind of a similar situation for Oklahoma as last week against Ole Miss. They face a team with a high-powered offense, and I just don't think the Sooners' offense is ready to try and match touchdowns and scoring opportunities with the Volunteers, especially not on the road. So give me the Vols and lay the points. We're going to move back to the ACC where Miami is on the road as a 12.5-point favorite at SMU. The Mustangs probably got caught in a look-ahead spot last week, losing on the last-second field goal at Wake Forest. Miami got off to a slow start before rolling Stanford at home 35-7. Obviously, Louisville fans want Miami to win out, so that win against the Hurricanes will still hold as a great win when all is said and done at the end of the year. Plus, any tiebreaker situations, Louisville would win the head-to-head. I do think that Miami is just a much better team than SMU. I do think SMU will show a lot of fight early, but give me the Canes to cover that 12.5 and look like the team that was once ranked number 2. And lastly, we're going to move to the Big 12, where Louisville, remember Scott Satterfield, he's having a great season right now, leading the Bearcats to a 7-1 record. They've won 7 straight after losing in the opener to Nebraska 20-17. Utah is tough at home. They just blasted Colorado last week. They held Arizona State to just 9 points in a big 42-9 win a couple of weeks ago. But the only game they've lost was to Texas Tech at home, where Texas Tech ran away with it 34-10. I don't think Cincinnati is on Texas Tech's level in terms of that, but I do think they cover this 9.5. I think that's a bit too large. I think they will be in the game until late, where I figure that home field advantage is gonna kick in and Utah will win the game. But give me Cincinnati and I will take the points. So that will do it for pickup lines. That'll do it for another episode of the CL Brown Show. I thank you for tuning in. Please click on those subscribe buttons. Please click on those like buttons. You know the routine every week. Please leave those 5-star reviews because we need more love in this world. Can always catch my columns at courier-journal.com, or just wait till next Wednesday when another episode drops. Thank you again for tuning in.